coming up with original ideas involves open divergent thinking. To be able to think openly, you need to learn how to unleash your imagination. When you have a free imagination, it's easier to move beyond the standard ideas and come up with the best ideas and solutions. This is the exploring part of the creative process. You can be most creative when you elaborate and go beyond the first answer you might come up with, because the first answer is not necessarily the best. The CQ Torrance Testing highlights the importance of elaboration as a way of unleashing your imagination and going beyond a simple two-dimensional mindset. People who are good at unleashing their imagination can naturally elaborate. They can imagine details that the average person can't see. Unleashing your imagination is about zooming out and looking at the big picture, finding as many solutions as possible, and not being trapped into coming back down when you see the first solution. This big picture scope allows the mind to wander into new territories and stumble on new ideas. It uses different brainwave activity when the mind is not specifically focused. Why then do most creative ideas come when we least expect them? In the shower, driving, on holidays, after sleep. Did you know that the mind uses sleep to reboot and problem solve? These mundane activities is where we can go up in the balloon, high, without our rational brain telling us to come down. Learning to use deeper states of consciousness opens you up to the world of your subconscious mind, where you can create your own reality. To unleash our imagination, we need real incubation time. We know intuitively that downtime stimulates creativity. When we suggest to someone to sleep on it to help them arrive at a solution, we're allowing their divergent thinking to work, giving their imagination some room to breathe. Accessing brain waves that allow unleashing of the imagination kicks off the real creative thinking process, as it is only here that one is out of reach from the censorship of awareness that our day-to-day tasks trap us in. For children, unleashing the imagination comes naturally. When our son was 5 years old, he put me to shame as the supposed expert on creativity. In fact, 7 times. We were picking him up from school, and I was in the passenger seat with papers all over me, trying to think of a creative opening for a corporate presentation on creativity that night. As he started eating his afternoon snack, he couldn't help but comment on the objects that he saw as he bit into his biscuit. "Look, Dad, a mountain with snow on it. Look, Dad, a sailing boat. Look, Dad, a car." And all I could say was, "Not now, son. I'm trying to be creative." Here was I as an adult, desperately trying to be creative. And without any encouragement, our son was naturally demonstrating divergent thinking, because his imagination was free to explore, to connect things together. This alternative uses theory shows how imagination can be used to see things that others can't see. And this is where creativity happens. So, how well can you unleash your imagination? This famous Rorschach ink blot test has been used for some time to help people unleash their imagination. How many things can you see in this picture? Did you see the motorbike, the butterfly, the X-ray, the horse's head, the cloud, the jellyfish? Or just spilt ink that was blotted on paper? Creative thinking is a messy process, and it may produce ideas that don't work. But sometimes we need to go through this wild, imaginative process to find the best solutions. There is a famous story of a Canadian electrical company who decided to have a brainstorming session to come up with ideas on how to deal with ice deposits weighing down and damaging the power lines. Technicians were being sent up the icy pylons to shake the ice off the lines. And the group spent the whole morning looking at the problem of how to shake the snow off the power lines, but got nowhere. Frustrated and running out of ideas, the group took a coffee break. During the break, One person shared how he was once chased by a bear who followed him up a pole. As the laughter died down, someone suggested jokingly, "Why don't we get the bears to climb up for us? They're large enough to shake the poles." "How could we entice them?" asks another. "What do bears like?" "Well, we could put honey pots on top of the pylons," someone else said. "But how would we get honey pots up there?" asked another. "We could use a helicopter to drop the honey." As the idea of using a helicopter came to the group, so did the idea that the wind from the helicopter blades could actually blow the snow off the lines. And that, as the story goes, became the final solution. Now, what's important about this story is that to get to the helicopter solution, the team had to first go through the wild and crazy ideas of the bear and the honey. The helicopter was not part of the original idea, and the bear and the honey pot formed no part of the final solution. We must ask the right questions to get the right answers. Shaking the power lines was a limiting inside-the-box statement. Instead, the question should have been more open from the beginning, such as, how do we remove the snow from the power lines? As this opened up more space to elaborate and unleash the imagination. Research shows that some of the best ideas only come in the last 30% of ideation and brainstorming. So it's important during the initial stages that no idea is to be considered silly. Keep the control and challenging voices out of the room. The tools of brainstorming and mind mapping can help you unleash your imagination. But it's important with these techniques to capture as many ideas as possible and to continue to build on ideas as they emerge without judgment, no matter how crazy they might be. The concept is that quality will come from quantity. There will be great ideas in amongst the many ideas that get thrown out. See what great ideas you might be able to come up with when you unleash your imagination. Ideation only truly happens when we use this core strategy of creative thinking.